Good evening, everybody, and thanks once again to Destination Uri for having me on tonight. I think tonight we'll start off with a bit of a roundup on the sports, and I'll start off with Shane O'Neill's. So, Shane O'Neill's is going to conduct a fundraiser, as you can see there, last man standing. That's £10 per ticket. So anybody that wants to avail of one of those tickets, they can contact any of the lads in the senior team or the ladies in the senior team or any of the committee, or else you can go onto the link on Facebook, the Shane O'Neill's Facebook page. And again, just as I said before, every club, every organisation, they need some funding, in order to carry out the events that they do carry out, which obviously benefits massively people within the community. So if you can, get an opportunity to buy your tickets. And as you can see, the jackpot is so it's a good prize to be won by any individual. The next issue for Shane O'Neill's is to do with the lotto. And the lottery, I think it's right up to over 6,000 at the minute. You can see there's 6,250. Now, this is going to be postponed for a while. It's probably down to the COVID rules and regulations and that, and a wee bit more difficult, to organise this given the numbers involved and stuff. But it will be reviewed, just like everything else, so just keep an eye on this. But, that's a good prize as well. Next issue will be, it's to do with, guidelines coming from the county board, the Armagh County Board. Now, this obviously applies to all the Gaelic clubs within the Camlough and Bessbrook, Durmore area. So it applies to Shane O'Neill's, Carracroppin, Crievrua, and all of the other clubs throughout the county of Armagh and further afield. So obviously it's all to do with COVID. Unfortunately, there are some championship matches that won't be played throughout the 32 counties. And again, this is really, really unfortunate. It's going to have a very negative impact, obviously, on players and supporters. But, the positive thing is that we do have to keep ourselves safe. Unfortunately, and I'll talk about this later, COVID is on the rise. There is absolutely no doubt about that. So everybody has to play their part and, keeping safe, keeping their distance, less contact with people, as little as possible anyway. So as I say, this does affect, the Shane O'Neill's, and it does affect Carracroppin and Crievrua. So everybody has to, take a look at what they're doing and review their plans and their strategies and their timetables. Okay, and now I'd like to go on to Carracroppin. And Carracroppin's doing a wee bit of a fundraiser too. They're obviously selling their gear. This is part of, the Christmas pack, so there's the top. Anybody wants to avail of that, again, just go on to the link on the Carracroppin Facebook page. That's a great opportunity, a great present for somebody. And again, it puts money back into the club. Money that'll be much needed on the other side of COVID. So please, anybody that wants to avail of that, just go into the link and, you can get yourself a lovely top. I'd also like to, although I don't have a photograph or anything like that there, I'd just like to mention, this is a woman that was a neighbour of mine, I knew her fairly well, when I was in my teens, lived next door, and that is Deirdre McParland. Unfortunately, Deirdre McParland passed away last week, and on Friday she had left along with her twin sister Fiona. I'd known the both of them fairly well back in the day, and two great, lovely people. But they both left. Deirdre's in the States, I think, around about 26 years. And she was working over there, a very, very good job. But unfortunately, she passed on Friday. And the family, obviously, it's a very private wake at the minute. They're hoping, that it'll only be a matter of time when her remains can come back to Ireland. Deirdre's the daughter of the late Des McParland, and Rose, her mother, just lives down the road from us. Both of them Carracroppin stalwarts, put an awful lot into the community. Deirdre herself played for Carracroppin. She was a camogue back in the day. She also was a runner for Carracroppin too. And it's just flipping heartbreaking news, that, it's such an early stage in her life, unfortunately, to be, to pass. And again, it's as always, with so many people, it was cancer. unfortunately. But hopefully, sooner rather than later, she'll be home back in Camlough, and she will be buried beside her father, the late Des McParland. So, sincere condolences to the whole of the McParlands and extended family, and that's from everybody in the village. Okay, so I'll now pass on to Creve Rua. Creve Rua, again, as I say, the rules, the COVID guidelines apply to Creve Rua as well. So this, like all the other clubs, they have a bit of a fundraiser going at the minute. This is for their sweat top. And, so people, again, can avail of that. If they go onto the Facebook page, the link is there. It's a lovely top. So please, if you have any spare cash, lovely present for somebody. So just go in and show your support to the local team. They really did us proud this year, so it's it's a small way to, show your appreciation by going in and, buying some of their gear. Okay, thanks for that. And I'd like to then go on to Camlough Rovers. Camlough Rovers did have a match. I think it was, let me see when it was. The match was abandoned anyway. It was in Belfast. It was only a few days ago. As you can see, pretty desperate weather. But in fairness, that's a powerful team that Camlough Rovers have, the ladies' senior team. And they won 2-0. So fair play, despite the fact that the weather was so poor and the match was abandoned, I think around about the 60th minute, they still, took the leads, held the leads, and won the game itself 2-0. Okay, let's see then from Camlough Rovers to, oh yeah, this is a fundraiser. I'll just knock this off a wee sec. It's bleeping beside me. Damien McCann. So Damien, again, he's associated with the Camlough Rovers Club, and he's going to do a run. He's doing the run in the month of October, and this is for the local hospice. And what he intends to do is to run 100 mile in the whole month of October. So by the 14th of October, he hopes to have, and this is on his 50th birthday, so happy birthday. He hopes to have completed 50 miles, and then by the 31st, he will have completed 100 miles. Again, people, it's a very, very worthy cause, the Southern Area Hospice Services. So people want to make a donation. You can go onto the Camlough Rovers Facebook page, and that'll lead you onto the link where you can, make the funds for the hospice. And fair play to Damien. Absolutely excellent. Love to see it. People, using their time in a very healthy way, but in a very worthy way, to raise funds for a very, very worthy cause. So fair play to Damien. Okay, Camlough ABC, that's the boxers. Again, they've got the word from, their national committee that's, all championships and competitions have been cancelled as well. So again, very, very unfortunate because, a lot of young people, obviously benefit greatly, from being with the club, between the training, the competitions, all of that. It's great for their physical health, great for their mental health. And it's just great, for the village as well. And there's young kids, or young men and people coming from, all around the area to fight with that club, and they've had a lot of success as well. But unfortunately, like every other club, they're being hit by the COVID restrictions, and fair play, they will comply and try and keep everybody safe, including their own members as well. Okay, so that's that on the sporting fraternity, and that's the roundup. So I'll just give you a wee bit of a report. I rarely do this, but this is just on the council, Newry Moreland Down District Council, which obviously takes in South Armagh. Someday they'll get round to mention South Armagh in the name as well. But you usually have a full council meeting on a Monday, the first Monday of the month. So obviously our meeting was last night. And, given the way things are at the minute, we don't get the opportunity to go to the chamber, which usually is much better. It's far easier to do your business and, have the debate and have the discussion and get decisions made and things done if you're in the chamber. But, second best is obviously by Skype, and that's the way we did it last night. So you usually go through the run of the mill. There's a report from the various committees that have met the previous month, whatever decisions were made, are reported back on, etc. And then sometimes there's correspondence, from outside bodies, be it other councils or other organisations, and sometimes they need, endorsed or whatever, So, but last night, there was quite a few motions. Reason why I'm mentioning it is because motions can come in fairly handy. So, motion, well, a councillor is the person who puts the motion forward. You have to propose it, then somebody will second, then it's debated. Then there will be a vote on it. A member of the public can, say, come to the likes of myself and say, look, this is an important issue. We think it needs debated within the council. We need to say, for example, last night there was a number of motions requesting the Department of Health, to endorse a particular position or a particular stand. So I'll just go through some of the motions, or in fact, I'll go through most of them anyway, that were mentioned last night. And the first one that was on the agenda, this was brought by one of my colleagues, Una McGuinness, and that was on motor insurance. And in particular, the high cost of motor insurance for BT34 and BT35. And everybody was in agreement that, that is a scandal, that it needs to be addressed. And the comments that I made was that there was a comparative study done. It was commissioned by the central bank in the south, and it was into the whole insurance industry. And firstly, I know Pierce Doherty, one of the TDs down there, was leading the charge against the insurance companies. And what they found was that while the price of motor insurance continued to go up, the amount of claims actually went down. So the spin that, they were putting the premiums up because of the amount of claims or because of the amount of car thefts or whatever, was absolutely and totally inaccurate. And they were caught out, and they were brought before an Oireachtas committee and, held to account. And, it is absolutely scandalous that, BT35, where we live, where we can be, our insurance does go up. There's absolutely no doubt about it. Every year, even though I have a no claims insurance bonus, I'm sure most people are in the same boat. Your insurance goes up every single year. It has been for the last number of years. So that's absolutely scandalous. And they really have to be called out. This is just what people would call the rip-off culture. They talk about a claim culture. The people, it's ordinary people that are suffering from this rip-off culture by very well profited companies. So they come in, they take your cash, and I know anybody that tries to make a claim, they put them through the hoops. So this really, really has to be addressed. Everybody has to play their part. Nobody should be accepting the way motor car insurance, is provided to us today. They have us on a hook or over a barrel because obviously it's illegal to drive without car insurance. So they think that gives them the green light to do whatever they like. Well, they can't and they won't. And we need to be very, very forceful, against the way these companies are operating. Okay, the second motion that came up, this was from another party colleague, Roisin Mulgrew, and that was to do with the talk of surgery, emergency surgery, not being carried out in Daisy Hill Hospital, being removed from Daisy Hill Hospital down to Craigavon. Now, thankfully, there was a meeting today. Some other party colleagues were at it. Mickey Brady, MP, Conor Murphy, MLA, and Liz Kimmins, MLA. They had a meeting with Shane Devlin today of the Southern Health and Social Care Trust. So we have been guaranteed that the emergency service are to be reinstated in Daisy Hill and they are to remain there. Now, the only thing about it is, that's fine, people saying that, and no doubt we have to take people at their word, but do not take your eye off the ball. And that's what I appeal to people on the ground. Do not take your eye off the ball because, we have to be very careful that, the services in Daisy Hill and the Down Hospital are not being run down. The irony of it is, if you take a look at the catchment area for Newry, it's around about 27,000. You take a look at the catchment area for Craigavon, it'd be lucky to be half of that. Yet, they were taking services from Daisy Hill and put them into Craigavon. That is totally and absolutely unacceptable. And there's no grounds to do that. We need not just the services that exist, to continue to exist. But we need, this more money pumped into Daisy Hill. I know there are plans, given the day, whenever the Civic Centre is built in Newry and the council, give up the premises on Monaghan Row, that's Daisy Hill will then, be able to extend into those premises. That's the direction that we need. And then, so as I say, keep your eye on the ball and make sure that, this isn't reduced, using the likes of COVID or some other excuse, to move services out of Daisy Hill to another location. At the end of the day, people, that it is an issue of life and death for many people that will have to travel that extra journey to such a big distance down the road. Okay. The next issue then is on COVID outbreaks at Daisy Hill. And this was raised by, I think it was Michael Savage, put the motion forward, and obviously that's under review, or, there's an independent inquiry at the minute, so we'll let the inquiry team do its work, just, at the end of the day, obviously our sympathy goes out to the families that were directly affected by this. And, we continue to fully support, the staff, in Daisy Hill. It's just, an unfortunate thing that this happens. But as I say, there is an independent inquiry, so we'll just let it, the people that are qualified to do this type of work, just to continue on with the work, and we'll wait to see what the outcome is. The next on the agenda was, and this was another party colleague, Willie Clark, it was racism. So he had a motion on racism. Now, sometimes it won't be heard, in full council, because maybe it would be better, to be heard at a different committee meeting. So that's what happened with Willie's. I don't think he was too happy, but anyway, that's what happened with Willie's motion. It was referred back to Equality and Good Relations. And then the last motion of the night was COVID messaging. And this, again, this was raised by Pete Byrne, one of the councillors, SDLP councillors from the Crossmaglen area. And primarily, everybody agreed 100% with what was being said. And I know other councillors have been saying this as well. There is no doubt about it. COVID is still with us. They haven't got the vaccine. It has begun to raise its ugly head yet again. It's interesting that, the people that are, it's a different age group, I think, now that is beginning to contract COVID. And, it is incredible how, where it can be picked up in one village and then all of a sudden, because of all our local connections, family connections, etc., then it just spreads throughout the whole area. So there's basic things that we all need to do. For example, and, my local shop would be Hughes's in Camlough. You wear the mask, you use the sanitizer before you go in. You just, do your shopping and away you go. So it's obviously, it's not that I'm just protecting myself and protecting others, because, I could be asymptomatic. I wouldn't know that I have COVID, and I could be going about my business. If I'm not, wearing the mask, then I'm not, thinking of others and protecting others. It's a very simple thing. Now, I do see people from time to time, and maybe they have genuine health reasons for not wearing masks, but I walked in behind a guy the other day, no mask, he didn't use the sanitizer, and away he went. So, that's hard sometimes to stomach, but unfortunately there's very little that we can say. But, I can say it here, people need to, think of others, not just think of yourself, but think of others. And we have to get through this. We will get the economy back up and running quicker if people, follow the guidelines. If we're willy-nilly, this will just lead to disaster. So I'll not end on a low note. I've got one birthday request, or not request, shout out here. Unfortunately, I couldn't find a photograph of this lady. It's Ray Powell from Falcullen Park. Anybody that knows Ray, and I'm not too sure what age she is, but she is still very, very active within our community. Ray has been very much to the fore of the residents group down in Falcullen Park. She's been involved in many a fundraiser, loads of events, for the area. The sort of person that I must admit I just admire. And, she is still very, very active within that community. and there's nothing going to pass her by. Any activity that goes on, she will know what's happening, and anything that's to be got or anything that can help the community, Ray will be to the fore. She's a great wee group around her. So big shout out to Ray, and best wishes for this year and for all the years to come. So Cal, that's really me for tonight. So thanks again for having me on, and contact me if you want any more shout outs or anything like that. Okay, slán go fóill agus é